That we start the debate, and I propose that we divide the debate into two parts. In case anyone has questions, we start with the questions, and then later we go on with any statements you might have. There's also, for those who want to speak, microphones. So, any questions? One, two.
Thank you very much, dear Professor Akçam, for this very interesting lecture. You are putting this question of accepting the wrongdoings as a part of more intelligent national security and regional security concept. But would you envisage if in such a case, in the eventuality that the leaders of Turkey will agree, then they should also agree to accept some kind of compensation? And what kind of compensation would be in that case? What would be your thoughts on this issue?
Do you want to take a few questions and then answer, or do you want to answer?
It's all up to you. We can take another question also, of course. Why not?
Shall we? Okay.
Yeah, my question is related to the story. Do you think really in Turkey, after the Serb treaty, there was a liberation movement? Because we are told in Turkey that Kemal Atatürk conducted a liberation movement from 20 to 23, and every year in many cities we celebrate the liberation of the cities, which are now, we know that there was not really any resistance to allies. So why do you think that wasn't happened, or CERN was not implemented? Because I think there was other reasons behind this Lausanne Treaty. So some kind of liberation was offered to the Kemal Atatürk in order to keep other interests. This is my point.
Is there a third question?
Yes.
Yeah, third one. And then.
Thank you very much for your conference and your so accurately relevant analysis of this period, 1988, 1918 and to 23. One question, you brought in a quite convincing way that a big part of the problem of acknowledging genocide is related to the concept and the policy of security. According to you, which could be the favorable, positive factors that could be brought up in order to let Turkish authorities to make, not abruptly, certainly, but progressively the right move? First, revising the security policy and consequently be more open to such an acknowledgement. Thank you.
Okay.
So let me maybe answer this question very short, so then we can go over other discussions. I start with the simplest one about the Turkish liberation movement, when it started and so on. There are different versions of history. In Turkey, we celebrate May 19th, 19 May 1990 as the beginning of Turkish liberation movement, because Mustafa Kemal Atatürk landed in Samsun, blah blah. This is really blah blah. The real Turkish liberation movement, if you want to describe in this way, started 1913-14. Because Union and Progress Party, as any other government, developed plans in case of a loss of war to continue the war in Anatolia for a long period of time. It was the decision of Union and Progress Party, 1913-14, 13, and we know from their memoirs, they organized resistance in Anatolia, and when the resistance officially launched, this was the 1918 October by a meeting between Kara Kemal, Talat, and the other Union and Progress leaders, for your information. At that meeting, they decided who should stay in Anatolia, who should go outside, and based on Armenian question, they say that those who directly involved in the Armenian genocide issue could get some troubles in Ottoman Empire. It is better for them to leave, and the rest, the others, Kara Kemal, Mithat Şükrü, and the others should stay, and they should launch the Turkish national liberation movement. And from the history we know, they picked up Mustafa Kemal Atatürk as their leaders because Mustafa Kemal was closer to British forces. They thought if we have a leader close to British, we can get a better peace agreement. So Mustafa was clever than the Union and Progress Party, and he kicked them from the power and even tried some of them and hanged 1926. So in that sense, there are different versions of history, and why Lausanne, why Sèvres, I mean, what powers? Of course, there is a major reason. We all know from history why Turks didn't face a very strong resistance from Great Britain or France. It was the Russians' Bolshevik Revolution. Turks, Hakan Dadrian is my mentor, professor. He jokes with me, say that, Taner, you Turks, you are like a cat. Whenever you throw the cat, they always fell on their 4 feet. You are such a lucky people. Whenever you are in trouble, you feel you ended up on your 4 feet. And his example is the 1918-19, and Great Britain, France, after they defeated the Ottomans, they want really partition the Anatolia among different powers, and the Bolshevik Revolution happened. And they needed Turks against Bolshevik intervention, and they dropped a lot of other demands because the other groups, Greeks and Armenians, they were not as strong as Turks. So this is other rules. The territories were always drawn on the war fields, not on the principle of justice. None of these boundaries established according to the feeling of justice. This is on our independent movements. What could be the last question? What could be the positive other reasons that one can bring up for Turkish government to acknowledge the Armenian genocide? I have a little bit problem with this argument. I know you have to always, in conflict resolution theories, there is an argument. It says you have to always formulate a problem as a win-win situation for both parties. So the Turks and Armenians, when they want to solve 1915, they should think that they both win from that process. And then you have to try to develop some ideas. What could be positive and a win situation for Turkey? Even there are some economists, they argue, you know, I tell you one, if Turkey acknowledges Armenian genocide, the tourism will go up. Most of you may be here denied to go to Turkey because there is a denials regime there, and if Turkey really acknowledges the Armenian genocide, there will be a boom of tourism. We know that. Why we know that? We know that from Poland. The Jews now streaming to Poland. The Polish government in Warsaw, they created a neighborhood, Jewish neighborhood. You can go and walk as if you were walking in 1930s in Warsaw. So Turkey also can create Ani or create other Armenian historic places in a way that Armenians would go, and I don't like to formulate in this positive sense, but general rule, my general answer to that question, without acknowledging an historic wrongdoing and without acknowledging a historic human rights abuses in the past, you cannot establish a democratic society that respects the human rights. If Turkey wants be the leading power in the Middle East, which they want to be, which they have the power maybe to be. And if Turkey wants to be a member of the democratic nations, I just read today the Turkish Foreign Minister Davutoğlu declared that the aim of Turkey to be the number 5 in the world. And in order to be such a powerful country in the world, you have universal standards you have to acknowledge and accept and implement in your country. Universal values of human rights, democracy, freedom of speech. And for me, Turkey can play only this role if they acknowledges these historic wrongdoings. So this is the most positive part. If Turkey wants to play a role in the new global world, he cannot or she cannot play this role without acknowledging Armenian genocide. So simple it is. If they continue, along with Azerbaijan, to deny the Armenian genocide and make denial as a certain concept of their national security or foreign policy, I don't make any distinction between South Africa or Korea, North Korea or Turkey. In a modern world where we are really trying in the world today to prevent mass crimes, to increase the